Hi, this is the Riot Podcast, which continues to happen.
What a way to really sell it. It does continue. Right? Welcome to your Tuesday edition. Thank you guys for obviously still clicking on and still listening, and hopefully you're going to enjoy what we have to offer today.
Well, you guys are podcast listeners. Let me give you a little inside seat. I'm still at home, which is why I sound a little bit different. And we got some guidance about when I can come back, and we believe it will be sometime within the next 5 years.
I was hoping for January. But Obi's COVID stuff has just lasted a lot longer with his symptoms, more than the average person. But again, thankfully, we can put on the podcast still, and you guys are still enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, there have been twice in the last 2 weeks that I've supposedly been clear, only to have my fever return. And they were like, yeah, no, you have a fever. No.
It's just been a long time, so
it's fine. I even have a specialist now. It's cool.
Stay fever free. Stay fever free. Stay fever free.
So let's talk today on the podcast. We get the Michael Bay pandemic movie. We chat that. This whole new video on demand future that we're starting to move into. Elon Musk versus Mark Zuckerberg when it comes to the monies. And I'll tell you, there's nothing quite like sitting back and arguing over other people's money. It's just...
Well, it's where do they land in the world's richest category. So they've done some movement with that.
Yes. We talk new Oreos, the Lego Coliseum, a cat translator, Stovetop stuffing merch items. We'll keep you busy today.
If anybody does anything with the Stovetop stuff, let us know. I hope to remember to go look at what they actually have, but we'll have to do that during the show tomorrow.
Yeah. So you guys enjoyed today's show. We're so glad to get a chance to spend some time with you. Thanks for spending it with us. Say hey. You can text us 8772-RadioU. You could also send us an email, which is kind of old school, but it works.
You can send that to riot@radiou.com if you ever want to email us.
Totally can. So you guys have a great day.
Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's the worst of the Riot on RadioU.
My Blu-ray buying for Black Friday this year at an historic low.
There's nothing left at this point.
No.
You didn't get any new ones from any new movies this year. So what is there left to get?
Well, I have 3 on the list. Just 3, nothing else. I've got Gremlins for $9.99.
That
Sherlock
seems
Holmes.
High.
You think so?
That does seem high.
Yeah,
a little bit too high. I think you can wait that one out for another year.
Sherlock Holmes.
Which one? The TV show or?
The one with Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, okay. All right.
Not the second one. Just the first one.
Just the first one.
$9.99. And this one, Nikki, is iffy for me, okay? War of the Worlds.
Oh, the Tom Cruise one?
Yeah.
Well, that also...
It terrified us.
I know. I was like, wait a minute. I don't think this is the right time to bring out that movie. Because you're like, how could it get any worse? It can. It absolutely can. If you never saw that movie and you never heard that noise that they made for the creatures, just... I don't know. Yeah, the horn. I don't need to hear the horn.
I hear you. Well, I'll tell you, it has been, it's been a dry year, and Nikki and I have some details in a few minutes about something that's happening with Universal, like the company. But I also saw here a couple weeks ago, Nikki, we talked about a new Michael Bay movie that they were calling a pandemic thriller.
Oh, yeah. Now, I watched the trailer after we had talked about it.
It's not directed by Michael Bay, but everyone keeps using his name to talk about it. He's producing it. I don't know that makes it better. I just know that that's what it says. And it's going to be released video on demand. They said it was going to theaters, and they were just like, yeah, no.
So when are they? Is it still next year, or are they going to put it out before then?
December 11th is when it's going to be coming out.
I don't know if that's the right movie for when people are still in lockdown and stuff, depending on where you're at and what you consider lockdown to be. That one needs to be when COVID's a bit more understood and kind of over. So then you're looking back, you're like, wow, it could have been worse, I guess. But you don't want to watch that movie while it's actually going on.
No, I don't. You're absolutely right.
Like, I think they could have waited a year or so on that and then released it, but maybe they're just trying to capitalize on the time.
I can just tell you right now, looking at it, zero interest. The last thing I need to hear, because it's about the breakout of like COVID-23. I'm just like, no.
Don't want to even have a movie about that.
No.
So I'm surprised they're not just saving that for next year or something.
Maybe they think that right now, as we were kind of saying, we're so desperate for something. I mean, Obadiah only has 2, maybe 3 movies on his Blu-ray list. Maybe he'll buy
this.
our video on demand. Maybe he'll do this.
No, I'd rather watch nothing than sit there and watch something that's showing a worse version of what we're going through now. I'd rather have nothing at all.
I love that so much.
So you can tell that to them.
I would rather have nothing than have your movie.
Everything you love about the Riot, plus a handy-dandy fast-forward option. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
So we were just talking about the lack of movies, which has been a recurring theme on the show, I know, and will continue to be. Boy, can't you just feel it in the air? Everybody's getting ready for a winter lockdown.
Oh, I know. It's not like there's no hope of going to the movies anytime soon. And if you're not going to the movies, they're still not going to be releasing some of the stuff.
And so here we have it again. Universal has announced that they've made a new deal. So they made a deal with AMC to shrink the theatrical release window for its movies. Now, what that means is that basically movie theaters have exclusive rights to movies most of the time. It's part of the contract they enter into with movie studios that they get that movie for 90 days. So the studio can't put it on demand, on video, on whatever. It has to stay in the theater. The exception a lot of times is like premium pay-per-view at a hotel or an airline.
Well, and then they had started to sneak in the through certain distributors where you could like rent the movie only, but like you couldn't purchase the movie for 90 days, but you could maybe 30 days before you could start renting it. So it's been moving in the direction of cutting the time down shorter for you to see it in theaters, because they still want you to do that, or they did, and then you watching it at home however you purchase it.
So they have struck a new deal, as we said, not with AMC, but with Cinemark, which means that they are slowly but surely ticking the boxes for all the major theater owners in the United States to shorten the release window. So they are now able to, there's a little asterisk here, but they are able to take a movie from theaters to video on demand in 17 days.
That's a big jump. That's a big one. So the stipulations that Obi was mentioning is that the deal would be with any film that opens with more than $50 million for its opening weekend. That must stay in theaters for at least 31 days or 5 weekends. So basically, if the movie was big enough, it would not do the 17 days. It has 31 days or 5 weekends.
Right. But if it's not,
it's the other stuff that did not do as well that they're perfectly fine putting it on video on demand faster now.
But still, think about it. Like, let's say the new Fast and Furious. It was supposed to come out this year. It's coming out next year, I think. It goes to theaters. And then a month later, 5 weekends, it could be on video on demand.
But that one would make more than $50 million its opening weekend. So it would not.
No. Like, it's if it makes less than $50 million, it's 17 days. But if it makes more than $50 million, it's 5 weekends. 5 weekends.
Yes, I think they said that they might have even more. Like they were talking about Jurassic World and F9, that perhaps those have their own individual deals where maybe they have to stay a little bit longer. But it's just video on demand for the stuff that does not perform as well in theaters. They want to get it out faster so they can try to get some sort of money out of it.
Well, and it helps them. They can do a marketing blitz all in one thing. So, like, instead of them having to promote it on video on demand and in theaters. They can do the theaters and then have their video on demand stuff ready to go, and they can buy packages. It's a whole thing.
It makes more sense, doesn't it? So if you look at this year, for all the movies that we had, there's only 2 movies that made more than $50 million its opening weekend. That was Bad Boys for Life and Sonic the Hedgehog. And then all the theaters shut down. So that was really the main ones.
Yeah, well, and they both came out in February, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Well, there's your answer.
That's it. So that is going to be with Cinemark theaters and Universal. Still different rules for other theaters and for other movie companies.
This is RadioU's Worst of the Riot.
So, Nikki, I'm looking at this. Obviously, it's going to be different all across the nation, but I see in my personal neighborhood, they have just announced that schools are closing.
Oh, they have?
From now. Yep. I mean, closing is not the right word. They are moving to remote learning.
Say it the right way. I mean, it is kind of the same thing, but closing down means no one has to do anything.
Right. And you'll still have to do things, but they say starting this Thursday, they're moving to remote learning, and they'll reevaluate towards the end of the year. It's interesting because they were saying that the real hook here is not that so many students have it. It's that so many teachers, bus drivers, and substitute teachers either have it or have to quarantine because they have been with someone who has, but they don't have enough people to run the school.
Which doesn't make the remote learning stuff seem like it will be as intense maybe through the end of the year, which has been some people's complaint, depending on how many staff and how the setup is for some people with their classes, on like how serious is everybody taking it, or is this one big off year?
Well, I'll tell you this. Nikki and I are done, early-ish in the morning. What do you think about you and I becoming substitute teachers?
Do you want Obie and Nikki to teach you guys? Is that what you really want? We could do all the classes for you. Not your work, but we'll teach you guys.
Oh, yeah. I got so much to teach you.
Maybe
you just wouldn't believe it.
If we did like a radio school, but I don't want to go and do some of the stuff. I don't want to teach that.
All right, kids. History class today. History of film and media. Let's go.
History of snacks 101. We can do that.
For a time, there was only the cracker, but along came Joseph Potato Chip and changed the world forever.
Don't you need to be, is licensed the right word, or you need to go to school to get, like, for a teacher or a substitute?
I will say in different districts it's going to be different, but for most districts, no, let me just say this. For ones that I know, a bachelor's degree in basically anything
is
good enough to be a substitute teacher. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be enough for you to like have a regular teaching job, but you could sub.
Well, I mean, let's see how desperate everybody is. If you want us just to come in. Until then, we'll just teach this class. This is all we can handle.
Yeah. Hey, Obadiah's our sub today. It's movie day again.
I know.
Again.
Which movie is he bringing in? And he'd make you watch the director's commentary stuff. It would just be so bad.
Like we're not here to just, we're going to tear this thing apart, guys. We need to talk.
It's like, you don't even have a fun time with Obie's movie class.
I hate it here.
Why do we have to watch movies every day?
The Riot really wanted to do this live, but now they can play video games and eat rice cakes instead. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Everybody, I know you have them. I've seen them. I want you to pull out your tiniest violin and begin to play a very sad little song. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Elon Musk's wealth is it's growing because of Tesla, and Mark Zuckerberg is about to no longer be the third richest person in the world. Elon Musk is about to surpass him, making him go from 3 to 4.
Oh, that's interesting. I guess I know, he has a lot of money, but to me, I didn't think it was the third richest. To have so much money, it'd be really interesting, wouldn't it?
It would change when you had, we've talked about this before, but I think about it from time to time. It would change everything. So much of your life, even though you don't think it is, revolves around survival. Mm-hmm. That's why you go to work. You got to be able to pay the bills for the whatever. If all of a sudden I removed all of that from your life, Whoa.
Yeah, but for everybody who has so much money, they're still very driven and they still really work. It's just, projects you would never think you could work on, but you'd have the money to actually do.
Exactly. You would move from working to pursuing, and that would be a very different world. You'd do things like, I don't know, build a company that sells flamethrowers and rockets.
And space and cars
and
all in one day, right?
I mean, these are the kind of things you do when you get freed up a little bit.
Yeah, I guess. Good for him, though. So Mark Zuckerberg is going down to 4, and Elon Musk is moving up to the 3rd richest.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A moment of silence for Mark Zuckerberg, who no doubt is having a hard time today. Yeah. Because he's got so much money. How else does he keep score?
I wonder how
this is one of the ways.
When they have sad days, what do they do? Because we're like, I'm going to buy a Blu-ray, or I'm eating out today. I'm getting some ice cream. You're like, what do you do with that?
I'm going to go home and watch some Netflix tonight. And you know what? I won't clean up.
Yeah, I know. I'm not even going to clean up after myself. That's how you make the day better.
What do you like? The maid gets a day off? How does it work when you're in that? I have no idea. You know what? I didn't think about this when we started, but the guy that made Minecraft, whose name I now can't remember, he said, he went through, after he became so rich, he went through intense depression and had all kinds of problems. He had to go into therapy because it upended his life so much that he couldn't function.
Oh, really?
Which, you know what? I'm ready for that therapy, baby. Come on.
You're ready to try that? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's remember, be happy and live the life that we want with the money that we currently have. Because it doesn't guarantee you happiness, even if you have all that money.
That's right. Elon Musk, people are calling him Space Karen. He can't be happy.
He must have a lot of stress too, right? And Mark Zuckerberg, no one really cares for him right now like they used to, so they're having stuff too.
It is true. There's a strong element of nobody likes Mark Zuckerberg because he gave you what you wanted.
Listening to the worst of the riot is the equivalent of standing in line at the BMV. Ugh. Worst of the riot. Radio U.
So, Nikki, I'm looking at all these different states that have introduced new restrictions for the next 2, 3, 4 weeks when it comes to this. So let's take a look here. In Philadelphia, they have just closed all restaurants.
Okay.
You can do takeout.
Yeah, so then
if you want to.
It's basically the in-restaurant dining you're not allowed to do.
Right. It looks like right now in Houston, they have, I don't know if this has been going on or if they've raised it, but you can get a $250 fine for not wearing a mask in public. And police are empowered to issue the fine. So if a police officer sees you walking around without a mask, he can hand you a bill for $250 on the spot.
So what if you're improperly wearing the mask? What if it's below your nose? Can they still get fined?
You know what? Let me check in with my friends in the Houston PD, and I'll get back to you.
To me, because that's just what I always see. So I was curious if you could get in trouble if you're not wearing it, covering your nose.
Yeah, so let's see. Michigan and Washington have both just announced new restrictions in which they're doing that. It looks like California was set to reopen some things, and the governor said that they are pulling, and I quote, the emergency brake on reopening and reinstalling the restrictions. Some of them are going to be even more intense than what they have right now. And the list kind of goes on and on. You'll have to check where you live.
With your area?
Michigan, it's same deal with Governor Whitmer. And people in Ohio think that they're going to end up in some sort of a restaurant, gym, shut down as of this Thursday.
It's not like we didn't know this was coming, guys. They said once the election stuff that then we would have probably some sort of closure. And they started theirs, and it was, of course, going to go through the holiday season since that's when you go around and travel and see a lot of people the most. So not surprised.
They're trying to cancel Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Well, I mean, you could say it that way, or they're trying to, make use of this time.
Life.
Well, I mean, some people have, like, if you had classes, they cut those off earlier to where, for some, you're finishing up next week around Thanksgiving, and you might not be going back to school. So why not stay at home during that time?
Well, you know what? Whatever you choose to do is up to you, unless you're in certain cities where the police are now set to fine you. So just
depends on your area, and let's just have a nice heart about it, okay? I know no one wants it, but let's just be nice about it, and just sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Can we just
even if your leaders around you are not actually doing it themselves, let's try our darndest. Is that good?
Nice.
Is that good to say?
Good.
Okay.
Thanks, Nikki.
You're welcome.
Using advanced technology, we've digitized and transcoded Obadiah and Nikki into a purely digital format. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
So over the years, Nikki and I, of course, have been right on the cutting edge of leading the parade that takes place, once a month when there's a new Oreo flavor?
Yeah, we try to taste test for our food fights all the Oreos. Then there just became a point where, like, they were just doing too many. I think it lost kind of some of the fun of it, because you had to have, like, so many mystery or new flavors every quarter that they were just making an Oreo flavor out of anything. And we couldn't even remember all of them if we had tried it or not.
It's true. I mean, you just hit a point where you're like, you know what?
It wasn't fun. It wasn't the same as when you actually had, like, wow, it was hard to find, and who knew if you could even get it or how long would it last. It was like the only flavor that they've done as a mystery one for a while. But, now they come out with a lot.
Well, Nikki, I am like good news, bad news. Actually, no, I think it's all bad news. There is a new Oreo coming in January. Mm-hmm. I guess that's good news. The bad news is they've batted all the way through all the different people. I don't know where they are. I don't know where they found this guy, but he's wandering in, and he's a gluten-free Oreo.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, it's not like a new flavor. It's just the classic Oreo will be gluten-free. There's going to be a version of it. What do you think? I mean, if you are gluten intolerant, then this could be a nice thing.
You're probably pretty excited. You're right.
Yeah, that's
You're
it.
right.
You finally got your Oreo. You got something. It's not going to be all the flavors. It's just, again, the classic Oreo. The normal one will not be gluten-free, but this will be a version that is.
I don't know. Like, that might be okay, because I'll tell you, there are a lot of people that I know that are gluten intolerant, and I know there are some people that make it up, but, like, some of these people are real. And now they can have an Oreo.
Well, some people choose to not have it. So now you can choose to have this Oreo version. And that'll be out in January.
Yeah. It's going to be great. If you were on gluten-free to take those pounds off, great news.
Here's something to add them back on. You need a little something.
You can be gluten-free and still have Oreos. Yeah. Come on.
Yay.
Come on. Yes.
That'll be all right. Sometimes you just want a little dessert, Obi. You just want a little cookie.
Listen, you're preaching to the choir. Like, I'm there, okay? Like, I'm with you. What I'm saying is, I don't want a gluten-free Oreo. I want those, like your phone, I want the Oreo Stuffed Max.
The mega stuffed ones?
Mega load.
We want those, and those are not going to be gluten-free. Again, this is only the particular one. Stacy, she just texted in. She's so excited. So she can't wait.
Oh, poor Stacy. That means she's one of those gluten people. Chuck says he loves coffee-flavored Oreos. I'm in. Sure.
Like, we have the gingerbread ones still floating around here. So those are like the current one for this month, these couple of weeks. I mean, how often are we getting these flavors? But the gingerbread ones are the current one that are there.
That sounds pretty good.
We would give the Riot flowers to show our appreciation, but Obadiah's probably allergic. What isn't he allergic to? This is the Riot. Riot on Radio U.
Nikki, I need to borrow / I need you to give me $549 and I'll cover the tax.
Now, well, some people say, are you supposed to lend money to friends or does that cause any issues? That's right,
which is
why I should
just give it to you. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, they do say that sometimes, but that I feel like is maybe a little bit more expensive than, say, if you just wanted to borrow or have like $20.
Okay, all right. And I see that. Technically, this would be 27 times more.
So you just need to
than
ask
the $20. Yeah.
You need to ask me 27 times to just have $20, and then you could just eventually get to it.
Once a day? Twice a day?
Couple of times a week, maybe. But what do you need that much money for? What are we buying?
Oh, well, see, I think this is something that could be good for the show because we could stream it and everybody will want to watch it as we build the largest Lego set ever made.
Oh, how big is it?
It is, wait a second. It's 9,036 pieces.
Oh, really? And what is it of?
Well, it is the new record holder. It was the Lego Star Wars Millennium Falcon was the current record holder. 7,500 pieces for that. And it costs, are you ready? The Millennium Falcon for Star Wars, $800.
Oh, it's so expensive. I know a lot of people that want that, but man, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money and it's a lot of pieces. But something's bigger now?
It is, and you have to imagine that it's cheaper because there are no licensing fees that need to be paid.
That's true.
And this is the new Lego Coliseum.
Oh, the Coliseum?
The Roman Coliseum, yeah.
Okay, and how much is this going to be?
Well, Nikki, how much money did I ask to borrow?
Oh, yeah, it actually is listed at $550. I didn't know if you were adding some extra into it. I'll take this school loan and I'll get a new this and a new that. Like you're just trying to pad it out.
No, I was willing to pay the tax myself.
Oh, okay.
See how generous that is?
That is. So it's going to be November 27th that you can get the new Lego Coliseum, which is the biggest Lego set ever, for $550.
Who wouldn't want the Lego Coliseum?
I've never been to Rome. I've never traveled. I've never seen the Coliseum. I guess I just don't feel like that's what I would want to buy for that much money to then just have setting out. Does anybody else feel that way? Like, do I just want something else?
That's kind of how I feel about all Legos, what you just said right there.
I mean, I used to want the Simpsons house, and that was always expensive, but I watched the show. So for this, the Coliseum, maybe if you collect stuff that are just the biggest sets, you would just want this.
I've had a weird desire. I don't understand what it is. Like, they've made Legos of all kinds of things that I like, but the ones that I actually want are the Ghostbusters Legos.
Really?
I don't understand why. Like, I have no idea why of all the Lego sets, those are the ones that appeal to me. But there's a Ghostbusters Firehouse and a Ghostbusters Ecto-1, like their car. And for some reason, those are the things that I'm like, ooh, I want to make those.
I want to pay all the money for that. So the Millennium Falcon, though, like we mentioned, is no longer the largest, biggest Lego set. It's now this Coliseum, which is 9,036 pieces.
Worst of the Riot. Radio U.
Slowly but surely whittling Nikki down on the amount of money that she'll let me borrow and or just give me.
Well, yeah, like we mentioned before, it's not the best thing to lend money to friends. So sometimes just giving and helping out that way. But we were talking about the new biggest Lego set at like $550. That's too much money. But let's see what you now want the money lended for. What's less than that?
Okay, how about an air purifier?
That would be good for you. That would be nice.
So have you ever used one before?
I had a fan that had one like built into it, because then you would take part of it out and you have to like wipe it down every day because it would pick up all the bad air particles.
So I was thinking about picking one up. Here's the thing. I'm spending a lot of time in my basement these days. Some of you know, some of you don't. It doesn't matter, but I am. And so I've been thinking about the fact that, like, even with my tiny little window, like, I'm opening it up, I'm trying to air it out. I feel like my basement ventilation is fine, you know, when I come down here a couple times a week. But living down here, I'm starting to be like, man, is there any fresh air in here at all? Like, have we ever breathed? It's like I'm just breathing straight carbon dioxide down here.
I saw yesterday, I was going through one of those, like, here's all the Christmas items you need to be getting people. And they had a little desk air purifier thing. Are you wanting a big one or like a little small one?
I don't know. It depends on how much money I can get my friends to give me.
How much are these going to run?
Well, you know what? I would actually have to measure down here, but it looks like they started at about $100, and then, of course, you can spend as much as you'd like. I have a tendency to appreciate the finer things, and so, you know, there's this Dyson model that I see here. It's on sale for $375.
Oh, that's actually, for a Dyson, you wouldn't believe what they charge for some stuff, so that's the sale price?
That's actually not bad, right? Yeah, that's the sale price.
It could be worse. Okay, so 300 and I see a hot and cool one. So they're having a Purifier sales event going on right now.
Yes.
You can get 25% off, Obi.
25%?
Yes, you could.
Wow.
Isn't that nice?
Wow. That's something.
For that price, you should. You should be getting all that.
It is funny. I don't want it to how do I want to say this? I don't need it to heat or cool. I just want it to, I don't know, pull some funk out of the air and put something good back in, I guess.
Well, you always like cool stuff, though. If this was a fan and purifier combination, I mean, I see some other ones for $500, $400. And then again, if we get you that 25% off, you're in.
You know what? You're right, Nikki. Ooh, here's one. Here's only $99. I'll bet it's a good one.
It's not a Dyson, is it?
No. It's
That's a
Pure.
It's like a Dyson, but it's not.
But it's nice.
Could catch on fire, and you're like, how's that possible? It is. It just is.
You know, it came from the same place. Once they had to stop making those hoverboards, they had to make something.
I know. They just moved all the stuff into that. Well, that might actually be a good idea, but that is expensive.
How to survive the riot. Do the complete opposite of everything they say. You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
Nikki, how are things going between you and your cats?
Well, I have one cat left. So Panda, that's all I've got.
How does your cat feel about being referred to as the only cat left?
Well, I used to have more. Now he's happy, man. He hated having other cats in the house. So, like, he's it to the point where I would not get another cat until I didn't have any left. I guess that's the only way to put it.
And then there were none.
But he is happy to be the only one there. He doesn't like, I guess he's more indifferent to the dogs that I have, but as far as cats were concerned, he didn't like when I have other cats.
I get that. Javier Sanchez, he worked on Alexa for Amazon, and he is now the project manager of a company called Aquilon, and Aquilon is working on something real specific, a little something that they call the Meow Talk app.
Is that like TikTok for cats?
No, it's better or worse depending on your perspective. What Meow Talk is, it is an app on your phone that you use to translate your cat's meow into what it's trying to communicate.
I see, so you can learn your cat's language.
So the idea, of course, a lot of people will be like, oh, it's stupid, whatever. Okay, you got to hear them out. They say that in general, cats are trying to communicate one of 9 things. They don't meow to other cats. It's not language like that they use to communicate with other cats. They're specifically talking to you. Mm-hmm. Again, this according to Meow Talk. And so it says that you basically use the app to record your cat's meow, and it will, one, tell you what it thinks it is, but over time, you can work with Meow Talk to figure it out. So, like, let's say, for example, your cat's meowing, you record it, and you figure out that what they're saying is that they wanted something to eat. Mm-hmm. And so you could actually tell the app, okay, they were hungry. And so the app would recognize if, like, the next time they're meowing, if you played that sound for the app would be like, oh, they're hungry. It
would remember that was the message it was trying to tell you of what it needed. Oh, that's fascinating. I think my cat only has a few things. It basically is just, I'm hungry and, hey, you shut the door that I need to go downstairs. And that's about the two things. That's it. Just mostly hungry.
Open the freaking
door, will you? That's a different meow, and I could tell between the two. But yeah, mostly my cat's just always like, feed me. But this is interesting. If you had a very vocal, very active cat, it would be fascinating to find out if you could try to tell what they were saying to you.
Yeah, well, it sounds like, as Nikki said, Nikki found 2 things they're trying to say. There may be 7 more.
I just don't know if you need to learn the other ones. This is the 2 main ones, mostly the feed me and I need to go to the bathroom, open up the door, because that's where the cat bathroom is. So that's all my cat cares about.
Well, Nikki's got all she needs, but if you feel like you and your cat need a deeper relationship, I haven't tried it. For all I know, this guy's blowing smoke and you're buying apps. But it's called Meow Talk.
Or do you have to buy it?
Well, Nikki, you and I are FaceTiming right now, so I didn't grab my phone to look it up.
You didn't look, but it is called Meow Talk. I thought it was just TikTok full of cat videos, but it's not. It's your chance to learn what your cat might be saying to you.
It's so much nicer than that.
You might be thinking that this won't be quite as bad the second time around. Well, you'd be greatly mistaken. You're listening to the Worst of the Riot podcast.
So, Stovetop's initiative this Thanksgiving is to feel stuffy. In fact, they've got a website up. It's not fully open yet, but it's called letsgetstuffy.com. And what they're doing is they're going to be selling Stovetop merch. And they're saying, stuffy. And so, like this photo I'm looking at some of the models that have their merch. They're sitting on a very expensive couch next to a candelabra. And the gentleman is wearing a purple, well, not purple, like a maroon felt jacket. And in this formal jacket, he's got a handkerchief, like in the pocket. It's a Stovetop handkerchief.
And did you look inside the lining? The lining is like Stovetop as well.
What, the lining of the jacket?
Yeah, the inside of the jacket. Like, if a guy opens up the jacket and you see the lining inside, that matches the handkerchief.
Very nice.
Then, what's the point, though? We're not going to actually get it in time for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's next week. We should have been on this earlier.
Nikki, Stovetop is trying to build Instagrammable moments.
Yeah, that's it.
Because if you're going to be spending Thanksgiving alone, which is now not outside of the realm of possibility, you'll want to at least have something that you can talk about online. And you'll be able to talk about your Stovetop jacket.
So this is interesting, but for this, they were talking about in recent years, say Stovetop stuffing has not done as well because you wanted fresh foods, you wanted a homemade, unique type of stuffing, not the box type that Stovetop is. Well, they're saying with the pandemic, that has brought people back to comfort food that they grew up with and packaged food. And so with people in lockdown and with people just throughout this entire year, they expect and have been reporting increases when it comes to Stovetop again.
Well, Stovetop is back. Stovetop wants to be there for you and put a jacket on your back.
And more, the cufflinks are actually really cute. Like cufflinks, they've got a little Stovetop box on the top part that shows on the outside. So they're just saying they want to do some fun things, not just for Thanksgiving, actually, but through Christmas time as well for some merch that you can have at home.
This photo I'm looking at here shows a woman in a formal dress. She has I would call it a scarf. She's probably calling it a wrap, but it's a Stovetop wrap that she's wearing there. So, I mean, there's a little something for everyone.
Is there? I don't know about that.
Nikki, right now I'm being a representative for the Stovetop company.
This doesn't look like everyday wear, so it depends on what you're wearing for like the holidays. But going back to the cufflinks, they call them stuff links. And there's going to be a headband, a handkerchief, and other merchandise that they're going to start for sale. Actually, today. It starts today at noon Eastern.
Today at noon Eastern, and you can live that Stovetop brand lifestyle that you have so longed for all these years.
It's called the Stuffy Thanksgiving Collection from Stovetop.
letsgetstuffy.com.
You're listening to The Riot. Let's all work together today to live life with the patience of a Nikki dealing with an Obadiah.
Gotta hang in there and get through it.
You're listening to The Riot.
Oh, I got to tell you, the people at Waffle House are bringing something I love together with something I don't love.
It's a unique combination. I guess do they even serve beer at Waffle House? Is that something they do?
I don't think so.
So that's why it's a unique combination, I think.
I'm assuming like you would have to go and get it at like a store. This says that it's going to be sold exclusively at the Oconee Brewery starting in December. Where is Oconee?
It's in Greensboro, Georgia.
All right. Well,
so it's an hour east of the Waffle House headquarters, Obi.
Okay. I mean, that makes a little sense, right?
I don't know. It's a weird combination.
It is a bacon-infused red ale. So the idea is that you're going to drink this beer that is going to have bacon infusion in it, and it's called Bacon and Kegs, that's clever. I'll give them that. But it's supposed to taste like Waffle House, which when you say it like that, it becomes way less interesting.
It'll be starting December 18th that they're doing this. It's not going to do a wide distribution, like it won't be anything else. It's just something that they're doing just at that location.
Oh, the thing is, I don't like the way beer tastes. And so now you're going to add, what else I don't think is good? Liquid smoke is not good.
Oh, it is the worst thing in the world. It ruins everything.
And I feel like this is going to be some mixture of Bacos and liquid smoke
they're
poured
using
into
it.
beer.
I have never been to a Waffle House during normal hours. I've only gone to Waffle House at after a concert or later at night where there was always a security issue with police. They have usually police guards in certain places, and I guess I just never thought you throw beer into the Waffle House mix. It would never be a good thing.
No.
He's shaking his head.
No.
With our experiences at Waffle Houses, but maybe if you go during the daytime, it's just fine. We just have always been there late at night or very early morning hours.
One time I met my mom there for breakfast, but see, Waffle House is like so many other businesses. It was brand new. They had just built this Waffle House, and it wasn't far from where she lived. And so I met her there for breakfast, and it felt like quasi-normal. But the thought I had was, it feels like this because it's new.
You're not there during the other hours. So
right.
Was new morning hours.
My thought is people are stopping by the Waffle House because it's the new thing in town, but these aren't the normies. And by normies, I mean the Waffle House normies. And so once they settle into that routine, I'd say you're probably,
but again,
probably pretty good.
Maybe I bet you daytime Waffle House hours are just fine, but this is something that they're doing in partnership near their headquarters.
Well, let me tell you what, you can keep your bacon beer. Because, no.
Worst of the Riot podcast.
Christmas! The sun's coming down! Christmas!
We're almost there. We are almost to Christmas.
I'm buying Santa dolls, Christmas, and Rudolph too.
So just a reminder for everyone, our RadioU Christmas channel, that should be launching this Friday. So you can enjoy our RadioU Christmas songs leading up to Christmas time.
So, Nikki, I think it was last week? Today's Tuesday, right? It's really running together, and I'm not just saying that.
It all blends.
It was last week we talked about it. This week it's happening, or it happened, and that was an auction in which the original Santa Claus and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer from the 1964 Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Christmas special, those stop-motion figures were sold at auction. Now, they were expected to pull in somewhere between $150,000 and $200,000
a piece, or do you just buy the set together?
I believe it was the set.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you think they sold for?
Collector's item. I don't know what you would do with these, but still, people have money to
display them, I imagine.
Yeah, to display them, maybe somewhere or in your house. Couple $100,000. Then did they get the top end of what they were wanting?
Oh, they got more.
They got more. Hey, how much did someone pay for these?
$368,000.
Really? That much?
Yeah.
Dollars?
Yeah.
For these? Okay. Maybe they're truly a fan, I guess, of these figurines that were used to make the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer special from, you said, the 60s?
Yes. Now, the winning bidder on this apparently did not, their name has not been disclosed, but the one thing that was disclosed is that when they won, they let out a laugh and scream of childlike glee.
Oh, like a bowl full of jelly?
Yes.
Is it like Santa?
They were so excited that they didn't contain their excitement when they won.
Well, for the person selling it, they said that they would never sell it, but then realized that the money could do a lot for his children and grandchildren, so he decided to sell.
I get that. I mean, the guy who owned them was 65. His name's Peter, and he just decided, as Nikki said, hey, you know what? And he's kind of right, too. The time is coming, I would think, when these items would be worth less. Mm-hmm. You got to cash in on nostalgia for this thing, and people aren't always going to have nostalgia for that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Christmas special, because there was a time when you were a kid, back in the 60s, I feel like they made one thing for you on TV a year, and that's all you got.
So you needed to have someone who probably remembers who lived during that time, who'd be willing to buy it, instead of if you waited too long, there wouldn't be anybody of that age who would remember the good memories with it. So they were saying the 6-inch tall Rudolph and the 11-inch tall Santa, they were made in Tokyo. They were made of wood, wire, cloth, and leather, and you could still move them. And Rudolph's nose would still light up, and Santa's beard was made from yak hair, and that's what sold.
You know, those yaks are long gone, but their hair lives on, and the spirit of Christmas keeps them alive.
It's alive in the Santa's yak hair.
Are people really still listening to the Riot? You don't have work to do or laundry to fold or literally anything else to do? The Riot, Radio U.
Hey, Nikki, how's your phone?
Oh, it's good. I got the iPhone Pro Max, the 12. I got it yesterday, and I really like it.
So what would you say, dealing with, this new phone, what is probably, the one or two things that stand out where you're like, this is cool?
It's not no one releasing any phones nowadays, or it's nothing too innovative. No matter if you're on the Android side of it or if you're on the iPhone side of it, I mean, they are what they are. They get a little better on speed or screen size. This one has the 5G stuff. But I definitely it's a throwback style to the rounded edges and the corners of this phone. And I was strangely comforted by having it kind of feel more like the iPhone I had when I was younger. So I think that's been good. The screen's super nice. So I'm just fine with it. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I think it looks very, very cool. I mean, I'm a couple years away from getting the 12. I'm on the 10.
You're on the 10. You're getting closer, though.
I think technically my phone now is probably 3 years old, so maybe when it hits 4, I'll be ready to make some changes. But that is the actual cool thing about this iPhone, is that it is still, after 3 years, I'm thrilled with it. It's a great phone. I'm good. So, whatever. Well, I just wanted to know, because I realized we've gone the entire show. You've had a brand new phone. We haven't even talked about it. So, I mean, we talked about it yesterday, but that was when the two of you were just getting to know each other. Now you're married and you've moved in together.
We're happy as can be. And it was interesting. When you move from not a 5G phone into a 5G phone, when I was setting it up, you have to get a new SIM card for it. You can't just use your original one. And that was the hardest part. I had to go to my carrier store yesterday to get it to accept and to make sure my phone worked with the new SIM card. And it was nice. You pull up, they walk out to your car, and they just do it there. You don't even go inside anymore.
Well, you know what? That's just great, Nikki.
Why?
That's just great. What? I'm freaking staying home and all this crap so nobody gets COVID from me, and you go off and get 5G. You're going to have COVID tomorrow.
Is that it? No, I'm fine.
That's where it comes from.
If it is what it is, at least my phone is nice. I was happy to switch over to that SIM card.
5G spreads COVID-19. I saw it online. It's real. And Nikki's going to get it now. That's great. Just great.
Or does it keep me from getting it? Maybe it's the reverse, and they're just trying to scare everybody away from it.
I might as well just go ahead and come on in, because if this is how it's going to be.
You can't infect me in here. It's fine. I got my phone.
You already got it.
This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
All right, you lazy bums. Let's talk. You're spending a lot of time on your couch. Now,
well, we're working there. It's work. It's school. It's work. It's on the couch.
You know what, Nikki? That's an interesting thing you say there. 61% of people that are working from home say that they use their couch as their desk.
Now, I will tell you, if you do work from home or do any school from home, you got to have your own separate space. Like, you can't be doing that on the couch or in bed. That is something that we do know that it's helpful if you try not to.
It does stink because some of us, like you, might be working at home where you normally play video games. That has a weird effect on you.
You don't want your work to be in your gaming space. You just
don't
want it to be separated so you don't get mad at your games and you don't get mad at work.
So I wouldn't say that this is necessarily a scientifically sound poll that we're dealing with here. But one poll dealt with a survey of 2,000 Americans, and here's what they found. That in the last 32 weeks, we have spent about an extra 448 hours on our couches. That is time that we normally would not have spent on the couch if it were not for pandemics and lockdowns, et cetera, et cetera.
But it doesn't mean that you're just watching TV at the couch.
You could be doing something else, like, whatever. But they're saying it really breaks down to about 2 extra hours a day that you are spending on your couch.
I like this. 7 in 10 say their perfect night involves spending time on the sofa, which is what you do during the day. So it's like just continuing with it. That's the perfect date.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, as someone who's had COVID-19, I've been spending an extra 3 to 5 hours on the couch, and that's just me napping.
Yeah, that's your exhaustion. That's where that's coming from.
That's where I'm breaking out of the average right there. But, that's a different
this is
story
really
altogether.
sad. Did you mention this? Many people from this study are now emotionally and physically attached to their couches. That
they didn't want to sell it.
That it becomes their best friend, and 36% said that they would not ever want to throw it away.
Is that weird?
Well, I mean, your couch can't be your best friend.
It can.
It cannot. It cannot be your best friend. On the other side, more than half
Nikki,
of
for
this...
those of us who don't have pets, a couch is it's important.
That is true, but 51% said they felt stuck with their current couch because it was too expensive to buy a new one, and they actually don't want the one that they currently have. 57% said their sofa has been around for all their memories, so it's been there for the good and the bad.
What?
These are really weird things from the study. They say that for all the people that like their couches, another study said, a survey, that 42% only clean their sofas occasionally when you're supposed to clean it more often.
Whatever. Like, my couch down here is
probably
never been cleaned.
100% people said whatever to this.
100% of Obadiah's survey said whatever.
So before the pandemic, the survey had said that half of the people spent 7 or more hours a week on their sofa. So about 224 hours total. And now that's up a lot.
I'll tell you right now, in my basement, I've got a lazy boy couch I bought used for $75. Someone had it. They didn't like the color, and they sold it to me. And it is ugly. This couch is just, so ugly. And it's my favorite piece of furniture in the whole world.
Yeah, no one's judging you in your basement on the couch. It's fine. It can be whatever color it wants as long as it's comfortable.
It's insane. Comfortable, the kind of comfort where you're just like, this should be illegal, but it's not. And so I just sleep on it. It could be my bed if I wanted it to be.
Well, if you've been hearing all these survey details, maybe just think to yourself, what if someone came in and took your couch? Did you panic when we said that? Do you hate your couch, or do you love it so much that it's your best friend?
My thought is I just get mad because who the heck wants to go couch shopping? Can you imagine
a
worse way to spend the day? That's where I'm getting mad. I'm not mad because it's been stolen. I'm mad because I have to get a new one, which makes me probably a certain kind of person, and you keep those words to yourself.
He's in between. The couch is not the best friend, but he also doesn't not care about it.
Thanks for listening to the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Oh no! I missed it! Do it again!
You can hear us live every day on the RadioU network through the RadioU app or at riot.radiou.com.
The doctor's prescribing some extra lupa for you.